hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Today's video is going to be something a little bit different than what I would normally do. I would normally do like reviews or unboxings, unbaggings, or tutorials. But today I'm going to be doing kind of like a brushes 101. It doesn't mean that these are the brushes that you personally need, and these ones may not be perfect for you at all, but this is what makes my life easier on a daily basis. So I'm just going to jump right into it and try to make this as quick as possible, but with as much description as possible. So the first thing I would start with is, even though they're not brushes, is my sponges. So this is the Morphe blending sponge. It's $7 on Morphe.com. And this one here is actually my favorite one. This was in a 3-pack from Dollar General. You can see it's very well loved and used. But yeah, it's very fluffy and nice and spongy. This one kind of reminds me of memory foam. Like you'll see my fingerprints in there for quite a bit after I, squeeze it. But this one's just like bouncy and comes right back to life. So this is my favorite sponge. It was a 3-pack for $3.50 from Dollar General. Now this is how I prefer to put on my foundation. From a day-to-day basis, I prefer to use the sponge. It just makes my life easier, pat it on, and it's good. Not that you can tell today because I know I have no makeup on. Giving my face a little bit of a break today. It was a little swollen and sore this morning, so moving on to the next one. So if I do have to use a stick foundation or a thicker foundation, I will use the foundation brush first, and then I will go over it with my sponge. But this is the brush I would use for that. Now, this is a Kenzie brush. It's a Kenzie foundation brush. It's kind of like dome shape on the top here. It's very dense, but it's still soft and flexible. So you can get every little area, get in little areas like that. I mean, around your nose. It gets into a little crevice of your nose. It works great. I think I paid $7.99 for 5 brushes. So you can get that at TJ Maxx. Now this is, like I said, my very favorite foundation brush, but I still will go over it with a sponge when I'm done. Moving on to face powders. Now, typically I have a sponge I dedicate to my powders, or I will just use whatever I use for my foundation to put powder underneath my eyes because I feel like it keeps more moisture in. But when it comes down to the rest of my face, I prefer a big fluffy brush like this one here. You can get one just like it by e.l.f., but this is the Soap and Glory brush I got in a little brush kit. You see Soap and Glory there. It's just the perfect fluffiness to it. It has a little bit of stiffness to it also, but I can just tap the powders around my face like that, and it only takes me a second to do, and I'm done my whole face. So that's why I prefer this one. Like I said, e.l.f. does carry one that is like $2 or maybe $3. But this one here I do believe is $7.99. I will have to look it up and let you know. So, like I said, this is my favorite powder brush. Now, if I do have to use a brush underneath my eyes for whatever reason, if I want to add more brightening or something, I'll use a brush like this one here. I got this from Ipsy. This is a Moda Pro Glow Brush. So, this is meant for highlight. But for me, this is the perfect brush to get in little areas like in here with some powder to brighten that area, or to put underneath my eye. I do not like pulling underneath my eye once I have foundation and concealer, because if I pull this up, because I have looser skin there, you'll see like little cracking lines from it being dry from putting powders on. So I have to be very careful with how I use brushes. So this has been my favorite brush for that. And you can see right here, it says Moda on it, Moda Pro. But yeah, so that's my favorite under eye brush. This is not a necessity, but it is nice to have. For contour and bronzing. Now, if I'm in a hurry, I will use my same powder brush just to throw some bronzer up here and just, fluff it right there and, underneath my jaw, whatever. But if you want a more precise contour, if you're trying to be like, more detailed and make sure that it's all nice and perfect, I use this brush here. Now, this is a Luxie 660 Precision Foundation Brush. Now you see the angle on it, how it comes to a point in the middle. I have an e.l.f. brush that's similar, but not exactly the same, but I'll show you why I like this one. Now this one, if I'm doing a precise contour, it fits right into the crease of my cheek, and you can bring it straight down, no problem. Very simple, very easy, and it's done. I mean, that's all you need for an exact contour. So if you don't have the money to buy this one, because it is pretty pricey, Luxie brushes are typically a little expensive. e.l.f. makes a small tapered brush here, which it's not as precise as this brush here. Try to put it on my face so you can see better. But it does the job too. You can just, you know, bring it straight in like that. And I think this is like $2 or $3. So it's a good dupe for this brush here. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. So that's what I use for my contour and bronzer. For my blush, which this brush here is an old brush. I've had this for quite a long time, and it has held up so beautifully. It's the Firma 103. People typically use this for contour because you can get right there, bring it down, and it's not exact, but it's there. I typically use this for blush. I don't like using a blush brush, like a regular one, because I feel like it throws the blush around your face, and you wind up with blush too close here, or you wind up with blush over here. I don't want that. I want my blush, you know, in designated areas because I don't use a lot of blush. So this brush here is easy for me to just hit the high point here and bring it straight back. And if you see the way that it hugs my face, it brings the blush perfectly without making it overly pigmented or making it splash around. Like, I don't like when powder just shoots all over. So that's what I typically use for blush, is this Firma 103. And I do believe this is $10. But there are cheaper versions. Like I said, with most of my brushes, there are a cheaper version. e.l.f. does make an angled brush like that. So that's all you need is an angled brush like this one here. And you'll have perfect blush application every time. For highlight, this is my brush here that I use for highlight. And looking at it, it looks just like the Anastasia highlighting brush. But this is the Milani All Over Blending Brush, is what it's called. I do believe this was like $12 or $13 when I bought it. I've had this for over 2 years, and it has held up beautifully. It makes any highlight I use like really stand out, and it's very precise. Like, it doesn't, I don't like when I have like highlight here to here and it shoots up my face and it's everywhere. I like a more precise highlight. So with this brush here, I can get exact, because I can also use the tip of it, which if you look at it, it has a noticeable slope to it, which you'll see a lot of the brushes I use have that same slope, even eyeshadow brushes. So I prefer for everything to be very precise. So if I want to just make one spot very bright, I'll use the tip of the brush like this and go straight up with it. Or you can, you know, take the side, angle it in, and make it perfect with just this area here. And it's always a perfect highlight wherever I put it, which you can see I actually have a highlight on the brush still. You can see it on my face. It makes any highlight really stand out. Like, let me see, I can do a demonstration real quick. This is my favorite highlight right here. This is Wet n Wild Precious Petals. And I just take the brush like this, just rub it in there like that. You don't need much. You can see it's on there. And it'll make your highlight so nice and so perfect. It like kind of like melts it into your face. I mean, it's the perfect highlight brush. So I make that a little even so I'm not wearing any makeup. There we go. Alright, so now on to the brushes I use for my eyes. The very first brush I'll show you is a Bliss brush, which you can get this, a dupe for this, with Milani. They have almost the same kind of brush set. So this was a 3-pack set I'd gotten, and I'd actually gotten it brand new at a thrift store. It was all closed up in a kit. It had like a little case with it and everything. This has been one of my very favorite brushes for setting my eye primer. Sorry, I couldn't think for a minute. So what I'll do is I'll take any kind of bone shade eyeshadow, and I'll take this little brush here. And the reason why I like this one for this, instead of just using any blending brush, is because I get creasing in the very front of my eye. And if I don't set down the primer, the creasing will stay and mess up any look I'm doing. I'll have extra creasing or lines going up right here. So what I do with this brush is I take it after I put on my primer, I put it in the very beginning here and bring it out. And it keeps my eye from creasing. This is not a necessity, but if you're older like me and you have that creasing and it drives you crazy, a brush like this will be amazing. And I have another dupe for this one here. This is my favorite because of the size, but like I said, Milani makes an eyeshadow kit that has a brush like this, and Walgreens has a kit that has a brush like this. So you can see it there. It's like flat, but still bigger, and it just fits in those areas and keeps all that creasing away. So that's why I like this brush. Let's see. For blending, for my very first shade I use a lighter shade always. That way all my eyeshadows blend together nicely. So this is my very favorite blending brush right here. I got this at TJ Maxx in a 5-piece brush set. This is Gina Taylor is the name of the brand. It's a nice wooden handle. It has the pink metal right here, or faux metal, whatever you want to call it. And this is the perfect size for eyes like mine to hit the crease and right above it. And it just has a perfect application every time. It's exact density that I need. You can see here. It has just the right amount of fluffiness, but yet still a little bit stiff. So that way I'm not like, you know, fluffing all over and coming out all the way up here. And, you know, it's just perfect and it fits right in there very nice. So this brush has the perfect length to it for me to be able to bend into my crease and be able to go back and forth in the crease like that. Like it'll bend down and I can go in like this. And that's why this is my favorite blending brush. So moving on to my next favorite brushes, I'm going to stick in the same order. These are crease brushes. I use this for putting darker shadows into my crease. Sorry, these are crooked. There we go. So this is just a dome shaped brush. You can get a brush similar to this by e.l.f. also for, I think, $2. So I know I have it in here somewhere. All my brushes got so mixed up. My camera fell like 3 times during this video and it's driving me insane. Here it is. So, I mean, it's not exactly the same. You can see there that this has that more of a angled to a point. Like I said, I have a lot of similar brushes. This seems to be my favorite shape right here. But this one here is from a set from Walgreens. And I think I have 4 of them total. Where's the other one? No, 2 of them are my favorites. So that's why they're over here. So this one is for getting deeper into my crease, staying down lower, bringing in a darker shade, which I probably just brought a darker shade on my eye because I didn't clean it. I'm sorry, guys. So I can just get this right into my crease to bring in a deeper shade if I'm going to do a cut crease or I don't want to do a cut crease and I'm just trying to give it that same effect. This is my favorite brush for that. Now, it's a 4-piece brush set I got from Walgreens. I do not promote Walgreens. I do not like Walgreens. I do not have strong opinions on places like that or any store, anything like that, except for the fact that my daughter had the flu. And I went to go get Tamiflu for her because that's what they give you when you have the flu. And they told me that they don't accept my insurance, but my insurance is accepted statewide. So they refused to give my daughter Tamiflu because the lady didn't feel like doing her job. Now, I did call corporate and find out that they do accept my insurance. So I'm not just going out on a rant thinking I know something I don't. I do know this. I called headquarters, corporate, whatever you want to call it. This lady just did not want to do her job or did not like me for whatever reason. So I do not promote Walgreens. But their brush set was very nice. So that's why they're in this video, because they make my life a little bit easier. And I hate that they're from Walgreens. Anyway, Milani has a similar set. You can get that. It's a little bit more expensive. No, I think it's $1 more and it's probably better quality. But these brushes here I got from Walgreens. There was 4 of them. I think they were $7.99. The Milani one I think is $8.99, maybe $10.99. Not definite. But yeah, this is, like I said, easier for doing the cut crease. And if you want to make it look like a cut crease effect, it'll just, where the tip of the brush is, will give you that exact deepness right there. So that way when you go in with the shimmer, it'll still stand out. Next brush. Also from the Walgreens set. Now this is going to be very similar to the very first brush I showed you. So this would be a dupe for that very first brush. So you don't really need both of these. I like them because I like using this one only for the base color. So that way I'm not putting a darker color in by accident or whatever. You guys get the point. But this is the same thing. You know, comes up to a point. It's for very precise things. It's basically the same as the other brush. It just gets in there very detailed, and you can use this as a shader brush. It will bring the shadow in here, and it's good for packing it on the edge, on the outer edge right here. So this has multiple uses. If you have this brush, you don't need 3 of the brushes I will show you or have showed you. So I'll show you that at the end. Anyway, the next brush I'm going to show you is for my to put dark shadow on my lash line at the top in order to hide fake lashes or give my lashes a better effect so that way you can see them a little bit better. And it's just a flat angled, a flat top brush here. You use this for eyeliner. You can use this for your lower lash line for putting a dark shade like very close to your waterline. Like I said, for putting up here at your lash line. It's a great brush. You can get dupes for this. I have something similar from Wet n Wild. This was $1. This one's just rounded as opposed to that one being straight. You just have to work with it a little bit more. That's all it is. This just gives you more precision. So that's why this is in my my brushes I need as a necessity. So this was from the Alamar Cosmetics brushes we got from BoxyCharm. It was a 3-piece set, but this is my favorite brush from that set right now. Now, if you don't like the one brush I showed you for a putting shimmer on your lid, sorry, I couldn't think, then you can use the one that came with the Alamar brushes right here. This is a really good shader brush. It's one of my favorites. I use this every day almost. And it just has the perfect precision for your inner corner, even putting concealer on to cut your crease. Like, this is the brush for that. Like I said, you can use this brush as the same thing. This will work. So you don't need this one, but I like having it because I like it for concealer too. Now, these 3 brushes are not typically a necessity, but these make my life easier. These also came from BoxyCharm, and this one was a $1 e.l.f. brush. This is the small smudge brush. Now, if I have a problem with my eyeliner, which sometimes I'll do it, it'll come out like at my lash line, and then it aggravates me. So all I do is I take this brush and I smudge it around and add it, make it look like I'm smoking out my lower lash line when I make a mistake, and that's all I do with this. So this helps me fix things. Plus, if you want to get a precise inner corner highlight, you can use that right here or your brow bone. It's perfect for that. You see, get on my forehead. It's big enough. There you go. So that's the shape there, and this was $1. Now, these brushes are not typically a necessity, but they make my life easier. Now, this is the one I use for my lower lash line. This one, try to get on my forehead again. I like having that nice big canvas right there. So, this is the angled, angled dome brush, basically. It's a mini flat angled, it's called, and it's by Luxie. It's the Luxie 111. This also came in BoxyCharm, I think I said that. So this one here I use for my lower lash line to blend the colors because it has that angle that's just perfect for me. Like, I put the tip of the angle against my lower lash line and just bring the shadow around like that. And it does an amazing job for me. It just blends it in and it's great. Now, this is my favorite inner corner highlight brush and brow bone highlight brush. See if I can put it on my hair then. There you go. So you can see it has a dome shape to it there. It's not angled or anything. It just has it's the way the color is on it. But this is the brush I find that gives me the perfect inner corner highlight. I just take it like that, take it up here, and I'm good to go. It only takes me a second to do. So that's why this is in my favorite brushes. I know this was a lot of brushes to go across, and I did it kind of fast because I was trying to make the video quicker and give you the most information as I could. But, so these are my favorite face brushes, and these are my favorite eye brushes. And this is what I use every day to make my looks so much easier. I don't have to go through the hassle of making a lot of fixing a lot of mistakes, is basically what I'm trying to say. I don't have to go through and fix a lot of mistakes because these are my perfect brushes. So it's always good to go through your brushes and figure out which ones are the ones you need on a day-to-day. And I kind of keep my eye brushes in one container and then my face brushes in another container. Oh, sorry guys, I didn't mean for that to happen. So that way they're all separated and they're all organized and I have exactly what I need when I need it. So these are my favorite brushes. And I hope that they have helped one of you guys in some way, or maybe helped all of you. I hope it did. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next. Bye, guys.